All right, so we're still continuing working on the converse of the Pythagorean theorem. And our converse says that if you have three side lengths, A, B, and C, and you can go A squared plus B squared equal to C squared, then it is a right triangle. So, we get number 4 here. Is the triangle with leg lengths of 9 inches and 9 inches and the hypotenuse length of a square root of 175 a right triangle? Show all your work. You should add there, make sure you're answering the question too. If you need to, if you get confused by where the numbers all go, remember you can always draw a picture, right? The legs always go make up the right angle. So if it's 9 inches and 9 inches, I'll put those there. Hypotenuse is the longest side. It's the side across from the right angle. So I'm going to say the square root of 175 there. Okay? Plug things in. But again, now we're not trying to find a missing side length. We're more like, all right, does 9 squared plus 9 squared, does it equal the square root of 175 squared? So 9 squared times 9 squared is 81. 9 squared times 9 squared is 81. Does that equal? Now, when we take the square root of a number and then square it, they undo each other. Doesn't matter which order you do it in. So basically, the squaring the square root of 175 cancels out the square root, and we just have 175. So 81 plus 81 is 162. And you know what? That does not equal 175. So, is this triangle a right triangle? No, it is not a right triangle. And again, you don't necessarily have to draw this picture, but it can sometimes helpful. Don't be scared to draw pictures if you need to. All right. Is the triangle with leg lengths square root of 28 and 6 centimeters and a hypotenuse of 8 centimeters a right triangle? All right. So we have a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. Our hypotenuse, that's the c. So I have to put in 8 for that. And then I have the square root of 28 squared. Don't forget to square that. I know it looks a little funny, so sometimes we may forget to take it to the next step, but you have to square it. Plus 6 squared, does it equal 8 squared? Well, again, when we take the square root and square it, that cancels out. We're left with 28 plus 6. Oh, I'm sorry. Supposed to have question marks there, right? We're wondering if it's equal to it. 6 times 6 is 36. Does that equal 8 squared? 8 times 8, which is 64. So, and again, feel free to use a calculator. If you get add 28 and 36 together, you get 64. And does 64 equal 64? Yes. Is it a right triangle? Yes, it is a right triangle. Okay, one more example, and this one might seem like we don't have enough information, but it's really knowing the vocabulary. The triangle below is an isosceles right triangle. So remember, isosceles triangles have two sides the same length. So we want to determine the length of the legs of the triangles, and we want to show our work. So remember, I am going to pick the side lengths to be x. You can pick any variable you want, just comfortable using x. And remember, they're the same. So if this one's x, so is this one. Don't say that this is x and this is like p or something like that. Okay, because it's an isosceles triangle, they are the same length. Okay, so now go back to our Pythagorean theorem. Okay, here's my right angle. That means both of these are the legs. So x squared plus x squared equals, what's your c? Square root of 18. Square root of 18 squared. So now, combining like terms, if I have 1x squared plus 1x squared, that's going to be 2x squared equals, now if I take the square root of 18 and square it, those cancel out and I'm left with 18. So now go back to the work we did with solving equations when variables are raised to like the second or third power. What are we solving for? X. What do we have to get rid of? 2. It's 2 times x. So how do we get rid of it? We divide. Whatever we do to one side, we do the other. 2 divided by 2 is 1x squared equals 18 divided by 2 is 9. So at this point, you can say what number times itself equals 9. You know that we can undo squaring something by taking the square root. and we get x is equal to 3. Now, technically, x is equal to 3 and a negative 3, but we know negatives don't make sense when we're talking about side lengths of triangles. So, x, the missing side lengths, both of them, the lengths of the legs are 3 centimeters. Okay, so again, just to kind of wrap things up here, when we have our Pythagorean theorem, we're used to saying here it's a right triangle, find a missing side length. The difference now is we're going to be given lengths sometimes, and we're going to have to decide if it's a right triangle or not based on whether it makes the Pythagorean theorem true.